Once again by Dr. Ruth Berggren, infectious disease specialist with the Long School of Medicine at UT Health San Antonio. Doctor, thanks for being with us for yet another week here. We're getting a lot of questions about the Delta variant, especially when it comes to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. This is a viewer question that I want to start with. What is the efficacy of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine against that new Delta variant? This person said a lot of reports they've seen only focuses on Pfizer and Moderna. So should those who receive the J&J shot be more concerned?
So first of all, thanks for the question. And you're not the only one. We're getting this type of question from across the country right now. Let me cut to the bottom line, and then I'll go back and give you some fill-in details. We don't have population level data for the efficacy of Johnson & Johnson versus the Delta variant. Okay, there's no good data yet, but we should be concerned because the Delta variant is much more infectious and it appears to be potentially more lethal. So it makes people sicker. It's easier to catch it. So we should worry and we should want to be protected. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine overall is slightly less effective for all comers of COVID-19 compared to the Pfizer or Moderna. And by that I mean they have a published 66 point something efficacy compared to Pfizer and Moderna, which are 90 to 94% effective at preventing infection. So whether you're talking about a Delta variant or not, the Johnson & Johnson has been slightly less effective in preventing illness compared to the Pfizer and the Moderna. Now, the question that's being raised, for good reason, is if you've had the Johnson & Johnson and you are worried that Delta variant is coming, and by the way, it's pushing 20% now in at least some parts of our country in terms of the composition of what people are getting infected with. If you have had Johnson & Johnson and you're worried that Delta is coming, what should you do? And the answer right now is we don't have a guideline for you. There is no recommendation to run out and get a Pfizer or a Moderna booster. There are a number of clinical trials going on that might answer that question for us. And there is a mix and match clinical trial that's been going on in the UK for some weeks that will give us better information about whether and how we can start with one type of vaccine and follow up with another, and will that be helpful and will there be harms? So I hope that unpacks it.
I want to clarify something, though, Dr. Berggren. I mean, we're talking about the vast majority of these people who are getting sick from the Delta variant that have not received any vaccine, correct?
I mean, the worry is people who are unvaccinated, right? And also we worry about people that have only had one of their two shots of the mRNA vaccine. If you've only had one Pfizer or one Moderna, you didn't get your second shot, we know that you're only 33% protected. And you have to get your second shot to get above 80% protection. And so if it's far better to have a shot, any shot, than no shot when it comes to Delta. And we really need to get more people vaccinated. The more people are vaccinated, the fewer transmissions there will be, and the fewer sick people we'll have in the hospital, and the fewer deaths.
Let's talk about the issue of myocarditis. That's something that the heart inflammation issue. The CDC said yesterday, a panel with the CDC said there is a link between that condition, which, correct me if I'm wrong, seems like it's generally mild, but there is a link between the vaccines and that issue being found in teenagers. What do we need to know about that, and what's your advice to parents deciding on whether to vaccinate their kids?
Myocarditis is rare. It can happen. It's the vast majority have been extremely mild, and the consequences of getting sick with COVID are far worse than the risk of getting myocarditis from a vaccine. So especially with the Delta variant bearing down on us right now, its increased infectiousness and its potential to make people sicker, I really think that the risk-benefit analysis weighs in very heavily in favor of getting vaccinated rather than being afraid of a mild case of myocarditis, which is going to be very rare.
We've also, Dr. Berggren, been getting questions about the vaccine's potential to affect mammogram results. I know there's been some articles about what that impact could be. Could you explain that?
Sure. So the vaccines rev up your immune system, and we have lymph nodes in our armpits that can get a little bit swollen after a vaccine. And this has definitely been reported with the COVID-19 vaccine. So your breast tissue is not being affected by the vaccine, but you could get a swollen lymph node in your armpit. And so for this reason, we recommend that people get their mammograms either prior to their COVID vaccination, or most people recommend waiting 4 to 6 weeks after your vaccine to go and get your mammogram. But this has no relation to causing cancer, and it's not affecting anything with your breast tissue. It's just swelling of lymph nodes in the armpit.
There have been a lot of pop-up sites that have been set up during Fiesta, Niosa, Fiesta. There have not been well attended. How concerning is that for you?
Well, I really would have liked to see a better turnout. I was there on Saturday at the Flotilla Mission Reach event with the UT Health van, and we honestly had more vaccinators than we did people coming in. We did get over a dozen. And I just think it speaks to, in general, people's hesitancy. Now, maybe a lot of people that are out enjoying Fiesta are there because they're vaccinated, and maybe the people that haven't been vaccinated were staying home. I don't know, but I would just urge people to take advantage of the fact that the vaccine is available. Look, folks, we don't want to waste vaccine. And there are people in other countries like Haiti, like all across Africa, where there's surges happening and people are dying and they haven't even gotten one vaccine. And here we are looking at an excess of vaccines and vaccines going to waste. And I think that's really a shame. And I just wish people would come out and get protected so that they can truly enjoy the good things in life, hugging their family members and being together in groups.
Well, we hope that's what we can help people do here, answer their questions to hopefully end some of that hesitancy. So we always appreciate your time.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
We'll be right back.